You know that person who just won't leave your mind? No matter what you do, they're there. First thing in the morning, last thing at night, while you're working, while you're trying to focus on anything else. You've tried everything. Deleted their number, unfollowed them, threw yourself into work, hobbies, other people. Nothing works. They're still there, taking up space in your head. And you start wondering, what's wrong with me? Am I obsessed? Am I broken? Here's the truth. You're not broken. After years studying psychology, I can tell you your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. And once you understand the 4 psychological reasons why someone becomes impossible to forget, everything makes sense. Today I'm walking you through each reason, and I'm warning you, the 4th one is going to completely shift how you see yourself in this situation. Let's dive in. Reason 1. Unfinished emotional business. All right, let's talk about the first reason. And this one hits hard for a lot of people. The first reason someone won't leave your mind is something psychologists call unfinished emotional business. And trust me, your brain absolutely hates unfinished business. Think about it for a second. Have you ever left a conversation right in the middle of saying something important? Or maybe a relationship ended suddenly without any real closure? Things were left unsaid. Questions were left unanswered. Maybe you never got the chance to explain yourself. Or maybe they just disappeared one day without a word. Here's what happens in your brain when this occurs. Your mind treats the situation like an open file on your computer. You know how your computer slows down when you have too many programs running in the background? That's exactly what's happening in your head. This open file keeps running. It drains your energy. It demands your attention, even when you're not consciously thinking about it. This is actually a well-known psychological phenomenon. It's called the Zeigarnik Effect, and it basically means that our brains are wired to remember incomplete tasks way more than completed ones. We're designed to finish what we start. It's how we survived as a species. So when someone exits your life abruptly, or when important words never get spoken, your mind refuses to file it away. Instead, it creates imaginary scenarios. You start replaying conversations that never happened. You rehearse what you should have said. You imagine confrontations. You picture the closure you never got. You write entire speeches in your head that they'll never hear. And here's the really cruel part. The more you try to force yourself to forget, the louder your brain screams. It's like your mind is saying, wait, hold on. We're not finished here yet. We can't close this file until we complete it. You might find yourself checking their social media, hoping for some kind of sign or answer. You might drive past places you used to go together. You might keep their messages, reading them over and over, searching for clues about what really happened. And if this is you right now, I need you to hear this. You are not crazy. You are not obsessed. You are not weak for feeling this way. Your brain is simply doing what it's designed to do. It's trying to finish what feels incomplete. And honestly, that's actually a sign of your emotional depth and intelligence, not some kind of flaw or weakness. The question is, how do you give yourself closure when the other person isn't there to provide it? We'll come back to that. But first, you need to understand the other 3 reasons, because they all work together. Reason 2, they mirrored your idealized self. Now let's move to reason number 2, and I'll be honest with you, this one is going to make you a little uncomfortable, but I need you to stay with me here, because this is where things get really interesting. Sometimes the person who's stuck in your mind isn't really about them at all. It's about who you became when you were with them, or more accurately, who you thought you could be. Let me explain what I mean. In psychology, we call this mirroring or idealized projection. And here's how it actually works. When someone makes us feel truly seen, valued, or understood in a way we've always craved, our brain doesn't just form an attachment to that person. It forms an attachment to the version of ourselves that we saw reflected in their eyes. Think about it. Maybe when you were around them, you felt funnier, smarter, more attractive, more confident, more alive. Maybe you laughed more easily. Maybe you took more risks. Maybe you shared parts of yourself you normally keep hidden. They didn't just occupy space in your life. They held up a mirror. And in that mirror, you saw your best self looking back at you. The version of you that you always hoped existed but weren't sure was real. And then they left. Or things ended. Or the relationship changed. And suddenly that mirror was gone. So now losing them doesn't just feel like losing another person. It feels like losing that version of yourself. The you that felt so alive. The you that felt so possible. The you that felt so real when they were watching. This is why some relationships haunt us way more than others. It's not always about how long the relationship lasted or even how deep it was. Sometimes it's about how they made us feel about ourselves. You might catch yourself thinking, I was so much better when I was with them, or I haven't felt that alive since they left, or even, maybe I'll never feel that way again. And here's where I need you to really listen. When you can't stop thinking about them, you need to ask yourself an honest question. Am I mourning them? Or am I mourning who I was with them? Because there's a huge difference. And here's the beautiful, powerful truth that I need you to understand. That version of you that felt so real, so vibrant, so alive when you were with them. They didn't create it. They didn't give it to you. They didn't invent it out of thin air. That version of you already existed. It was always there. It was always yours. They just helped you see it. They just reflected it back to you. They just gave you permission to be it, which means something incredible. You can find that version of yourself again. You can be that person again, and you don't need them to do it. I know it doesn't feel that way right now. I know it feels like they took something from you when they left, but they didn't. They couldn't, because it was never theirs to take. The confidence, the joy, the aliveness you felt, that came from inside you, and it's still there, waiting for you to give yourself permission to find it again. Reason 3. Dopamine addiction and intermittent reinforcement. Now we're getting into reason number 3, and this one explains something that confuses a lot of people. Why toxic relationships are often the hardest ones to forget. Let me start with some basic science. Your brain runs on chemicals, and one of the most powerful is dopamine, your reward chemical. It's what makes you feel good when something positive happens. Here's where things get interesting. When someone is consistent with you, when they're predictable and reliable, your brain gets used to it. The dopamine levels stabilize. It's comfortable. But when someone is inconsistent, when they're hot one day and cold the next, when they give you attention and then suddenly pull away, that's when your brain enters what scientists call intermittent reinforcement. Let me give you an example. Think about a slot machine. You don't win every time. If you did, it would become boring. And you don't lose every time because then you just walk away. But that occasional, unpredictable win, that's what keeps people sitting at those machines for hours. That randomness creates the strongest addiction pattern known to psychology. Now apply that to a person. When someone treats you inconsistently, when you never know which version of them you're going to get, your brain starts treating them like a slot machine. Every text becomes a potential jackpot. Every time they show attention, dopamine floods your system. And every time they pull away, your brain says, maybe next time. Maybe if I try harder. If someone was always kind, your brain would normalize it. If they were always cruel, you'd leave. But that back and forth, that's the sweet spot for addiction. That keeps your brain hooked. That keeps you checking your phone, wondering, hoping. So if you can't stop thinking about someone who treated you inconsistently, someone who was hot and cold, I need you to understand something. You're not weak. You're not desperate. What you're experiencing is a genuine neurochemical withdrawal. Your brain became addicted to the unpredictable dopamine hits, and now you're literally going through withdrawal. Just like withdrawing from any addictive substance, your brain is craving that next hit, that next moment of validation. Understanding that it's brain chemistry, not weakness, that can be incredibly freeing. Reason 4, they represent an unhealed part of you. And now we arrive at reason number 4. This is the big one, the one I warned you about at the beginning, the one that's going to completely change how you see this entire situation. Sometimes the people we can't forget aren't stuck in our minds because of who they are. They're there because of who we are, or more specifically, because of what remains unhealed inside of us. In psychology, there's a concept called repetition compulsion. It means we unconsciously recreate familiar emotional patterns, especially painful ones from our past, in an attempt to finally master them, to finally get them right. Our minds don't do this to torture us. They do it because they're trying to solve an old problem. They're trying to fix something that broke a long time ago. So here's the question I need you to ask yourself. Did this person make you feel abandoned? Maybe you have an old wound from childhood around abandonment. Did they make you feel like you weren't good enough? Maybe you've been carrying that belief about yourself since you were young. Did they make you feel invisible, like your needs didn't matter? Here's the truth that changes everything. Your mind keeps this person present not because they're special, not because they're your soulmate. Your mind keeps them present because they've touched a wound that existed long before they ever showed up. A wound that's been there for years, maybe decades, and your unconscious mind thinks that if you can just figure this person out, if you can just get them to choose you, then maybe you can finally heal that old wound. But here's what actually happens. You can't heal an old wound through another person. You just can't, because the wound isn't about them. It never was. That wound is about you, about your relationship with yourself, about the love, validation, or security that you needed at some point in your life and didn't get. And this person is just a mirror reflecting back something you've needed to see and heal for a very long time. Now, I know this might sound heavy, but stay with me because this is actually the most beautiful part. This realization is an invitation to finally heal the part of you that's been hurting for years. Because here's what happens when you do the work, when you give yourself the love you've been seeking, when you validate yourself instead of waiting for others to do it. Something magical happens. That person starts to fade from your mind. Not because you forced it, not because you tried harder to forget them, but because you no longer need them there. You healed the wound they were reflecting, and once that wound heals, the mirror isn't necessary anymore. The obsession lifts, the constant thinking stops, and one day you realize you went hours, then days, then weeks without thinking about them. So if you're stuck on someone right now, ask yourself this question. What wound have they activated in me? What old pain have they brought to the surface? What part of me is asking to be healed? And then, instead of focusing all your energy on them, redirect that energy inward. Give yourself what you've been waiting for them to give you. Because the person who can truly free you from this mental prison, it's not them. It never was. It's you. It always has been. So let me ask you one more time. Who's living in your mind rent-free right now? Is it unfinished business? Is it the version of yourself you miss? Is it a dopamine pattern your brain can't quit? Or is it an old wound asking to be healed? The truth is, it might be all four. And that's okay, because now you know. Now you understand what's actually happening. And that understanding is your first step toward freedom. Your mind isn't your enemy. It's trying to protect you, complete things, and heal you. But it needs your help. So here's what I want you to do. Write down which of these 4 reasons hit you the hardest. Then ask yourself one question. What do I need right now? Not from them, from myself. Maybe it's closure you create for yourself. Maybe it's permission to be your best self. Maybe it's breaking an addictive pattern. Or maybe it's finally healing that old wound. The power is in your hands now, not theirs, yours. If this video helped you understand what's been happening in your mind, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep psychological insights like this, and leave a comment telling me which reason hit home for you. I read every single one. Remember, healing isn't linear. Some days will be harder than others, but understanding is power, and you have that power now. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. You deserve it.